master database. Most of your opponents would have never seen this before. After the usual e3, we play the key move queen b6. This is the point. We want to take advantage of the absence of white's dark squared bishop by targeting the b2 pawn. White has two main ways of protecting it: playing queen c1 or playing b3. Let's start with queen c1. After queen c1, we can execute our main idea, which is to get rid of the f4 bishop and thus gaining the bishop pair with knight h5. We threaten to take the bishop and to capture the pawn on d4 next. White has three main ways of responding to this. Let's check each of them. Bishop to g5 is the worst option for white and will give you an easy win after queen a5 check, forking the king and the bishop. After, for example, knight c3 and queen takes g5, you are up a piece and winning. In case of bishop g3, we simply grab the bishop. Knight takes b3, h takes g3. We develop our pieces with g6, bishop g7, and d6. Our general game plan consists of preparing the pawn breaks c5 or e5. We will play moves such as rook e8 and knight d7 in order to put pressure on white's central d4 pawn. Later, we will decide if we want to take it, or forcing white to move this pawn and open the diagonal for our powerful bishop on g7. Bishop e5 brings us to familiar positions after the moves d6, attacking white's bishop, bishop g3, knight takes g3, again grabbing the bishop, h takes g3, g6, c4, and bishop g7 developing. A possible line is knight c3 and e5, challenging the d4 pawn as we saw previously. Back to move 4. b3 is probably the best move to defend the pawn. In case white develops his pieces with knight f3, we continue our game plan with knight h5, chasing the bishop once again. White responds with bishop g5 or bishop g3. In case of bishop g3, we simply grab the bishop as we always do. Knight takes g3, h takes g3 and g6. And we already know how to play this position. We put our bishop on g7, castle on the kingside, and go for the pawn breaks e5 or c5. White can also play bishop g5. We chase the bishop with h6. There follows bishop h4, g5, bishop g3, and knight takes g3, grabbing the bishop. After h takes g3, we play bishop g7, and this position is fine for us. White can play at any moment the move h3, creating a retreating square for the bishop in case of a future attack by our knight h5. We move on with our game plan. We fianchetto our bishop, we castle, and we play knight bd7. The plan is always the same: c5 or e5. We've seen all the main points. Here is what you need to remember. First, the important move queen b6, targeting the b2 pawn. Second, the move knight h5, going after the opponent's bishop. And lastly, take note of our development plan, preparing either e5 or c5. If you keep in mind only these three steps, you shouldn't have any issue during the opening. Okay guys, it's all for today. See you in the next one.